right, what's going on, you guys? Nick here with Nick Strength and Power. I've got a couple of interesting stories for you guys today. The first story that I've got for you guys today, the latest couple of physique updates from Regan Grimes, just days away from taking the stage again in California at the Cali Pro, where he's going to be looking to qualify for the 2025 Mr. Olympia. And I think going into this show, based on the competitor list that we've seen, I do think that Regan is the favorite right now at this show. It'll probably be between him and Sassarati for the top two, but I think more than likely he's the favorite to win this thing, and this will probably be where he gets his Olympia qualification. Now, like I said, he posted a couple of updates. One was this video, and then the other one was this front double bicep shot. And this is the aspect of Regan's physique that I really like. He has great lines for open bodybuilding. When you talk about a more aesthetically pleasing open guy, this is what you're talking about. And I think one of the reasons why the version of his physique that he brought at the New York Pro hit so hard was that he clearly added size. So he was able to bring this aesthetic physique like you can see in this front double bicep, but he didn't look small. He didn't look narrow. Because he is a taller guy, that's kind of the problem that he's had in the past, and that's why he's constantly been trying to put on size in the offseason, is because he's taller, he looks a little bit more narrow, despite the crazy weight that you see him post on Instagram in the offseason, well in excess of 300 pounds. It never truly came across that way on stage next to these bigger open guys. And when you see him now, not only did he look bigger, but he brought a really well-conditioned package as well, combining all of that with his aesthetics. And, he was up against guys like Nick Walker, and he didn't look small next to Nick. And Nick is a freak. Nick is a mass monster. You saw the way that Nick made both Derek and Martin and even Crizzo look at the Pittsburgh show. But when you see him next to Regan, Regan doesn't look small, even next to a guy like Nick. So I think that maybe now he's made the improvements that we've really been waiting to see from him for years. And I think that if he comes in on and he brings that comparable package to New York, he's going to win this Cali show. But I do think Sauce is a bit of a wild card with that crazy conditioning. If Regan comes in off here, I think Sauce will catch him. So that's the tricky thing about this show. Even though that Regan beat Sauce in New York, and he beat him solidly, it wasn't like a controversial, close thing. Even though we had that situation in New York, I think that Regan needs to be careful here, because if he does slip or come in a little bit off, that's where a guy that brings the conditioning that Sauce brings could be able to catch him slipping. But let me know what you guys think in the comments down below. What are your predictions for the Cali Pro? Do you think Regan will be able to lock it down and get that Olympia qualification this weekend? Now, next up in the news, this is kind of interesting as well. Nick Walker has recently changed his tone a little bit after both the New York and the Pittsburgh show, and he's kind of expressed his disappointment in how the Pittsburgh show went. Obviously, Derek won that show, but Nick recently put out a statement where he says, look, I'm not going to say that I'm going to win the Olympia this year. I'm going to say that I'll be top 3.
But there's still a lot of work to be done. 3-time New York Pro champ. Getting ready for the 2025 Mr. Olympia. I ain't going to sit here and say I'm going to win. But you better believe I'll be in that top 3. Where in that top 3 I'll be? I guess we'll wait and see.
And that's very different from the version of Nick as far as his confidence level, or as far as, what a lot of people call cocky. He's said for years that he thinks he's going to win the Olympia. This year, not the case. He just wants to be, or says he's going to be top 3. And I think that's a little bit more of a measured approach that more people can get behind. That's definitely something I can get behind way more than him saying he's going to win. Do I think that Nick has a very real chance at being top 3 at the Olympia this year? Absolutely I do. I think that's more than reasonable and definitely more than possible. He almost beat Derek. And I think this is the main point that a lot of people disagree with Bob on, is not necessarily that they think Nick is going to win the Olympia, but I think it's more the fact that Bob said he will never win. And like I've said in several videos now, I think in bodybuilding you can never say never, because anything can happen. I think it's possible that Nick could win the Olympia. However, I also think it's unlikely. And that's why I think Nick's attitude here is a little bit more on par with what most fans probably expect from him. I think most of his fans, even like the diehard Nick Walker specific fans, I think even they are probably thinking top 3, not necessarily the win. But look, I mean, who knows? Like I said, the Olympia is in this very rarefied era right now. The title is changing hands, the Olympia title, more frequently than really any point in bodybuilding history over this last half a decade or so. None of these new Mr. Olympia champs have been dominant, and none of them honestly have been able to hold on to that Olympia title. I mean, even Big Ramy, who won it twice, he virtually disappeared after he lost it. Brandon Curry, Hadi Chupin, Derek Lunsford, Samson Dauda, even going back to Sean Roden, even though that was a bit of a different situation. These guys, they're not holding on to it. It's changing hands. So even though it seems unlikely, would I be shocked if Nick Walker won the Olympia this year? I wouldn't be, because it's been like a new champ every year. And if you think about it, if we were to have a new Olympia champ this year, somebody that has not won it before, so not Derek, not Samson, not Hadi, which has kind of been the trend over the past few years, a new guy winning it. If we're going to have someone new win it, the first name that comes to mind outside of those guys, to me, is Nick. So I think never say never, but still, let me know what you guys think in the comments down below. Now, next up in the news, Andrew Jacked has another response to the Lenda Murray situation. And this is the last time I think I'm going to talk about this, because I think most of you guys get the point now, and the people who disagree with this, they're always going to disagree. There's no convincing the people that disagree with the prize money thing. So this will probably be the last time that I cover it, or at least cover this specific angle, the men's versus women's angle, the Lenda versus Arnold angle. But I did think that Andrew Jack's response was pretty interesting here. So what was interesting to me about it is the fact that Andrew never gets involved in any type of drama. In fact, on social media, he rarely posts at all, whether it's physique updates or anything else. He'll post like the occasional picture or video of him training, or the occasional picture or video of like whatever his sponsor is like wearing their gear. So him to put a main page post about this, I think means that Andrew was really upset by this. So what he said was this: me, IG 850K, 18 of them 3 million plus, common sense, me versus them 6-to-1 ratio. He tags Lenda Murray and says, the Miss Olympia, you even contradicted yourself with this simple math. And then on top of that, he also shows a screenshot of the actual payment he received from the Arnold, which was $70,000 minus $21,000 for federal withholding, and he received $49,000. Now, he also had the caption of this post: for some of you ignorant people who can't read or have listening deficiencies, let me be very clear. Why did Lenda Murray call me out directly and personally? I don't follow her, neither do I know her or her stats. I've been in this industry for only 3 years, and I've never said anything about anyone, never complained. I've got nothing to do with Arnold's money or Instagram followers. That's the fans' choice. If you want to complain, go ahead, but keep my name out of your mouth. So I kind of share Andrew's confusion here, and I said this in the last video. I don't know why Lenda specifically picked Andrew Jack to call out here, but when I was thinking about it, when I was reading Andrew's post, I did come up with an interesting theory about why she picked Andrew Jack. I mentioned in the last video that she works for Wings of Strength, the owner of the Olympia's company, and it's essentially the Olympia's production company. So essentially, via proxy, she works for the Olympia. So if you think about the Arnold Classic placings, what does first and second place have in common from the Arnold this year? Derek Lunsford, who won, he's a Mr. Olympia champ. Samson Dauda, who took second, is a Mr. Olympia champ. Andrew Jacked is the next placing in line that isn't a Mr. Olympia champ. So if she essentially works for the Olympia, it wouldn't really make a whole lot of sense for her to call out first or second place, because they're both Mr. Olympia champs, and to try to make the argument that a Mr. Olympia champ doesn't deserve more prize money kind of diminishes the value of the Olympia title. So she really couldn't call out Derek first place or Sampson second place. So Andrew Jacked was kind of the next target in line, and I think that is why she called Andrew out instead of first and second. Because otherwise, I see no reason to just randomly, specifically pick on third place here. It just doesn't make any sense. So kind of, again, back to my main point from the last videos, I think her argument was just disingenuous overall, and I think picking Andrew specifically was also disingenuous. And I've seen people like kind of 50-50 on the Andrew Jack thing. Some people are saying he's overreacting. Some people are siding with him. And I mean, at the end of the day, she called out Andrew Jack specifically. And essentially what she said was that he didn't deserve the prize money that he got. And with Arnold now raising the prize money for third place, she's also kind of arguing that he doesn't deserve more money than what he got if he got third again next year. So I can see why he'd be upset. She's essentially saying you didn't deserve the money that you made from doing the work that you put in. But let me know what you guys think in the comments down below. Again, this is probably the last time I'm going to talk on this subject. I think most of you guys get it by now. Most of you guys agree. The bottom line is the divisions that are the most popular get paid the most money, and that's the bottom line. That's it. There's nothing sexist about it, and I continue to see like these really sexist geared arguments about this topic, and that's just not it. I don't think any of us are saying that these women are not talented, they're not great athletes, that they're not great, they don't have great physiques. They have all those things. These women are great. There's no denying it. I'm friends with several of them. We are not diminishing the work that they put in, the talent that they have, what they bring to the sport, what they bring to the business, what they bring to the organization. But that being said, both things can be true. They can be very talented athletes. They can be very hardworking, all that stuff. That can be true, and it can also be true that those divisions just are not as popular as the other divisions and just do not bring in the money or the ticket sales or the viewership that the other divisions do. Both things can be true. It does not have to be this sexist argument. But I think the reason it's becoming that is because that's a very effective way to argue your point. If you can't directly take on the fact that one division is more popular and that's why they're getting paid more, adding the sexist angle to it makes makes your point a little bit stronger because it adds like this social aspect to your point. But I don't think that social aspect has anything to do with what's going on with this prize money. I really don't. And I want to give a shout out to my buddy over at Muscle Discord here. He put up a really interesting post too. And I think this illustrates the point of Linda being affiliated with working for the Olympia. Both of these organizations, I got to give credit to the Olympia too. They raised their prize money to $600,000 for men's open bodybuilding for first place, which is awesome. And I think that in turn pushed the Arnold to raise it again. But it is worth pointing out, as Muscle Discord did here in his post, that all of the women's divisions at the Olympia, all six, and keep in mind the Arnold only has 3, but all 6 at the Olympia, the top 5 prize money for all 6 divisions, so 30 prize money slots, was less than one placing at the Olympia, first place, $600,000 compared to $570,000. So still, it's not just the Arnold. That disparity exists at the Olympia, which is the platform that Linda Murray is coming from with Wings of Strength. So I do kind of have a personal theory that Linda Murray's video was kind of an extension of the Olympia's response to fire a shot at the Arnold. I think that's why she didn't mention Derek or Sampson, and that's why she mentioned Andrew. I think that's why she mentioned that the Arnold only had 3 divisions for the women, even though the Arnold only had 3 divisions for the men. And I think that's why she didn't mention at all that the prize money disparity is also massive at the Olympia. And I think that Andrew kind of unfairly got caught in the crossfire of this kind of rivalry between the Olympia and the Arnold. And again, I don't want to speak on behalf of all of you guys, but I think most of you guys probably agree with this, that we're not saying that the women are not talented or not gifted athletes and don't have great physiques. I don't think that most people are saying, this sexist viewpoint. I think most people just fundamentally understand the business aspect of this, is that the divisions that put asses in seats are the divisions that get paid the most. And I think most people are just kind of exhausted of seeing this men's versus women argument when we know that's not why this is happening. And I just kind of look at it from the perspective of, like, it's so exciting to see these massive changes in bodybuilding and to see Arnold, this is out-of-pocket money that Arnold is taking for his own show to craft it in the way that he wants the show to be, that he thinks the athletes are going to get the most out of it, that he thinks the fans are going to get the most out of it, that he thinks is going to bring the best bodybuilders to his show. He's taking that money out of his own pocket to craft his own show the way that he wants it. And he's already said the reason he cut the divisions, the women's and the men's 212, was because he believes in a more short, succinct, digestible show, not an 8-hour-long show that nobody wants to watch. And that's his right as a promoter, to craft the show however he wants and to distribute that prize money however he wants. And I think that when someone like Arnold does that, it should be celebrated, because that's what we want to see. That's what's going to grow the sport. And then when he does that out of his own pocket and people come out and like blast him for it, like it's a negative thing, it's a bad thing now, it's sexist, it's a biased thing that he's doing, it's going to make people like Arnold that have the ability to grow the sport and put that money in, it's going to make them not want to do it when they get a negative reception for coming out of pocket to try to grow the sport. And I just think it's exhausting to have this argument. And I hope that Linda Murray takes some of the feedback, especially when it comes to her own show. She believes that strongly in the ability of these women's divisions to draw money and to draw fans and to draw views. I hope she bumps up their prize money like crazy after seeing some of this feedback. I hope that those become the headline events of her show and that her show is successful. But I still do just think that the fact that she has men's 212 being paid more, in some cases more than double, all the women's divisions, I think just demonstrates how disingenuous the point that she's making is, to try to make this a male versus female like social issue. And it's not that. And I think that if she's going to tell Arnold how to run his show and how to spend his money, then the burden should be on her to be doing the same thing and putting her money where her mouth is and doing it at her own show and showing that it can be done. If you think those women's divisions can justify that prize money, then show people with your show. And I wish her all the best in doing that. I hope she does pull it off. But the fact is, everything we've seen up until this point shows the opposite. If you watch any of these live streams, all you have to do, you don't even have to see the behind-the-scenes stuff that I've seen. You don't have to see the ticket sales. Watch any of these live streams that shows the live number of viewers at any point during the stream. And look at men's open bodybuilding and just pick any women's division that goes on and look at the live number at the top of the screen and tell me what you see for men's open bodybuilding and then any given female division. This is not a matter of opinion. This is, you can verify this. It's not guys talking shit. It's not guys being sexist. It's the fact of the numbers. The numbers don't lie. I've seen it recently. I can't cite which show it was, but I distinctly remember watching the women's bikini, and there were less than 100 viewers on whichever stream this was. Again, I don't remember the exact show, but there were less than 100 viewers. And when men's open came out, it was over 4,000. And I challenge any of you guys, if you guys disagree with this point and you still think it's a sexist thing, the next live stream that you watch, just be honest with yourself. Watch that stream. If they show the number of live viewers, look at that number during the women's categories and then look at it during men's open bodybuilding. And I challenge you to come back and say there is not a 10x or 20x difference in the viewership. That might be a fact that hurts some people's feelings. That might be a fact that some people don't like. But it is the truth. And trust me when I say I have tremendous respect for these female athletes. I don't watch every female division. I don't cover most of the female divisions ever. But the reason that I don't is because nobody ever asked me to. Don't you think if these divisions were really that big and that popular, that somebody like Arnold wouldn't notice that and pay them more and make it the headline of the show? If the women's divisions were as popular as men's open bodybuilding, don't you think Arnold would acknowledge that and pay them based on that? Don't you think the Olympia would do the same thing? Don't you think all the bodybuilding channels that only cover men's open and classic physique, if the women's divisions were that huge, don't you think they'd cover them too? And I'll even go as far to say, like, I even enjoy, like, women's fitness where they do the routines. I even enjoy that more than men's physique. I enjoy that more than any of the other women's divisions. I might even enjoy that more than 212. Those routines are really cool. Those women are tremendous athletes, but still, at the end of the day, they don't do anywhere near the numbers that the open guys do. And I don't think they should have anywhere near $700,000 for first place. And if you hold that opinion, it doesn't make you sexist. And I think that's why you've seen this topic blow up so much, is because the men that have voiced their opinions on this, it's so easy to just say, oh, you're a sexist then, if you don't think the women should be paid as much as the men. And I think the men are just sick of hearing that, especially in a situation like this, where that's just not the case. But see, again, I've rambled too long on this topic. I just think it's frustrating, it's irritating, and I think the arguments against it, like you're just a sexist if you don't agree with Linda Murray here, it's just frustrating. And this is the last time I'll talk about it, because like I said, I think most of you guys get it. Most of you guys agree. It's just hard to see some of the comments against the guys that are, supporting the men's open guys. If that's the division that you love and you support it and you agree with them getting paid more, that does not make you a sexist. And I'm with you guys on that. Now, let's move on to a completely different topic here. So, Logan Franklin, I thought this was interesting. So, Logan Franklin responded to a question on his story. You guys know I love Logan Franklin. Me and him are friends. Best performance, best package he ever brought to the Arnold Classic this year. He was asked, who is your Mr. Olympia top 3 this year? He says haters can hate. Then he shows a picture of him, Rough Diesel, and Mike Sommerfeld, notably, I think excluding Urs Kalasinski, Ramon Dino. And I actually don't think this is unrealistic either. I do think that Logan needs to add a little bit of size, but I think if he does that and brings that Arnold Classic conditioning to the Olympia, I could totally see Logan in the top 3. And I would even say, just on posing alone, I would say that Logan and Rough Diesel are 2 of the best. I would say Rough Diesel is probably the best in the entire IFBB, regardless of any category. I would say Logan and Rough are probably the top 2. They might not be the biggest guys. They might not be the most muscular guys in classic physique, especially with Terrence. I mean, you saw this argument of Terrence versus Jose. Same thing with Logan. Logan might not be the most muscular guy, but a beautiful physique, a great poser. He brings great conditioning, and I think is a really good embodiment, at least to me, of what classic physique is. And obviously classic physique is this very subjective concept of whatever you define it to be. But to me, when I think of a classic physique and I look at a guy like Rough Diesel or I look at a guy like Logan Franklin, those are the physiques that I really picture as being classic in my mind. And it's okay if you don't agree with that. It's a very subjective thing. And classic physique, I feel like, is not as firmly defined as men's open bodybuilding is. I feel like if you're looking for a more muscular classic physique champion, Mike Sommerfeld is that guy. I think if you're looking for a very conditioned guy with very nice flow and lines, Logan is probably that guy. If you're looking for a great poser that's very balanced and well-proportioned and also has great flow, Terrence is that guy. He's just not the biggest. So I don't even disagree with this. I could totally see Logan in that top 3, but I do think if the standard seems to be leaning towards Mike Sommerfeld, I mean, Mike won the Arnold. He was runner-up at the Olympia. If Mike is the standard that the judges are looking for, which they seem to be showing us based on these scores, then I do think that if Logan wants to crack that top 3, he's going to have to add a little bit of muscle to be more competitive with a guy like Mike, especially in the lower body, maybe in the back, maybe in the chest. Because it does kind of seem like that's the direction that the judges are leaning, is this more muscular classic physique, just based on what they've been doing with Mike. And again, it's very subjective. If that's what the judges are saying they want, then that's how they're defining classic physique. Just to me, I would say honestly, just my personal opinion, my favorite classic physique right now, with Chris Bumstead being gone, is this year's version of Logan Franklin at the Arnold. Was one of the favorite classic physiques that I think I've seen outside of Chris Bumstead. Just my personal taste, just my personal opinion. I'm obviously not a judge, but that's the kind of physique that I like. And then Terrence Ruffin would probably be right behind him. And you guys might disagree with that, and I think that's actually cool because I think that's what makes classic physique and bodybuilding in general so interesting is the subjective nature of the sport. And I think it's cool. I mean, I like watching other bodybuilding channels when they have a different opinion than what I have about any given physique. And I like hearing why. It's interesting to hear different people's reasoning on why they like a physique over a different physique. And it doesn't make them right and it doesn't make anybody else wrong. I just think it's cool to see everybody's viewpoint. Now there's thousands of bodybuilding channels at this point. And I think that's very good for bodybuilding is to hear everybody's perspective on these physiques because this whole thing is so subjective. And it is a cool conversation. It's fun to have. And I think these are really the things that make the sport so interesting is there's so much discussion around it. And it's fun, man. Now, next up in the news, the latest few physique updates from Tonio Burton. So I want to talk about a couple guys that are competing in the near future, but not this weekend. So Tonio Burton is doing the Legion Sports Festival at the end of May. So I believe that would be next weekend already, which is crazy that May's already almost over. So we haven't talked about Tonio much at all this season. We haven't seen him all season. This will be his 2025 first show. I have no idea who else is doing Legion at this point, but I have to imagine Tonio is the favorite because I've been seeing these updates from Tonio over the past few weeks, and Tonio just looks amazing going into this show. And we talked about in the last video the current Olympia qualified competitor list and how there's going to be a lot of names added to that list over the next 12, 14 weeks, however many weeks until the main core of this season is over. But I think we will likely see Tonio win that Legion show and get his name added to the list. And I just wanted to show these updates because I think Tonio looks really impressive here. And like I said, we haven't talked about him really at all in 2025, but I think he looks fantastic, man. His conditioning here, he looks like he's added some size. He's just vascular as a roadmap here. And we've just got so much exciting bodybuilding to look forward to. And I think I'll make this next story my final story. Behrooz Tabani at 5 weeks out. Behrooz is doing the Dubai show, which I believe is towards the end of June. It's one of those last weeks in June 20-something. But if you talk about conditioning and you talk about aesthetics in open bodybuilding and size, Behrooz has like a really good balance of all those things. He brings crazy condition. He's got a very aesthetically pleasing physique. He's also a pretty big dude. I really hope, I pray that Behrooz gets his visa. If he qualifies for the Olympia this year and wins a show like Dubai, I really, really hope that he's able to get that visa and finally compete at the Olympia this year. I think he belongs on that stage. He's a fantastic bodybuilder. He's got a great physique. He's missed it for, has it been 3 Olympias? It's 2 or 3 that he's qualified for and missed because of the visa issue. I think this is a guy that without question belongs on that Olympia stage. And I hope that he wins whatever shows he does, if it's just Dubai, whatever. I hope he qualifies, and I hope he can get there because he absolutely belongs there. But anyway, let me know what you guys think in the comments down below. I don't want to make this more than a 30-minute video, so let me know what you guys think. Make sure you like the video, subscribe to the channel, click that bell notification icon if you have not already. And as always, I love you guys. Appreciate you guys. Nick Strength and Power, signing out. All right, guys, don't forget to click that like button and subscribe to this channel if you enjoy the content. Also, check out my Instagram at Nick Strength Power. My Facebook page, which is simply Nick Strength and Power. My secondary YouTube channel, Nick Strength and Vlogs, for vlogs and bonus content that you will not see on this channel. And consider subscribing to my third YouTube channel, Nick Strength and Pokemon, which is all things Pokemon and trading card games, completely unrelated to this channel. So if you're into that, give that one a look. And all links to merchandise and social media will be in the description box below. If you guys want a Nick Strength and Power t-shirt, that will be in the Shopify link below. Have a great day.